All right, Perry, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
Hey, Bruce. Great to be here. Thanks a lot. Been a long time fan, so really excited to talk pizza.
I know we've been kind of internet friends, I'd say, for a long time, followers on Instagram and Facebook, and we've talked online. First time talking I guess this is in person now for 2024, but this is fun. I'm glad to have you on the podcast and talk about your business and what you're up to and share that with
Thanks.
everybody listening to the podcast. So before we get into all that, let's give a little bitty background about like what you're doing and where you do it.
So my name is Perry Anastasakis. My family and I own Famous Pizza in Bethel, Connecticut. My parents started the place, true family business in every sense of the word. Started as a family business, mom and dad, 3 kids, just really humble beginnings. It was tough. First 3 years, I tell people, they didn't make a dime. They were robbing Peter to pay Paul. And then as we got older, we started helping them and worked all through high school. And one day, I had no intention of going to college. My dad handed me the keys and said, all right, I'm going to Greece. You take over and see what it's like. And the second he came back, I said, nah, I'm going to school. So I really learned my lesson as to how hard the business really is. But I knew, like, the pizza life chose me. I got it in my blood. I went to college, studied accounting, worked for Ernst & Young as an auditor. And it was a great experience. Definitely helps me to this day. But I just was missing something. So I know I couldn't do it myself. I just saw how my dad got burnt out really quick, and I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to do things a little different, take what I learned in the corporate world and apply that to the pizza business. So I brought my right-hand man as my brother-in-law, Tony. Shout out to Tony. He does all the behind-the-scenes work. He wants no part of the camera or anything. Just puts his head down and he grinds. And together, we built, what we think is a really good business. All our kids are involved. I mean, we're a true neighborhood pizza joint. I went to school here. My kids went to school here. His kids go to school here. Everyone knows us. We support the community. It just makes sense. And it's been great. It's an American dream. It truly is.
That's great. So you have a degree in accounting. That's probably very helpful when it comes to running a pizzeria. I feel like in the pizza world, people are obsessed with the pizza, which is great. You need a really good pizza, right? Like you need a good product, but like the numbers in the background is where they get fumbled up.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially in recent years, I find myself working on spreadsheets more than, the pizza side of the business. Because the numbers, we could do everything perfectly. We can make the best pizza, provide the best service. But if we don't know our numbers, it's all for naught. So, it's definitely, as much as I hated accounting, I really appreciate having the knowledge. I just couldn't sit at a desk. I was driving myself crazy.
How long did you do it for before you realized it wasn't for you?
2 years and 1 day. And the 2 years is because to become a CPA in Connecticut, at least back then, things have changed, rules have changed. I think it's a 5-year degree, but it was public accounting. So basically, you pass the exam, you become a certified public accountant, and you need 2 years experience. So I wanted to have that as a backup plan, just in case things did go wrong, but have no intention to ever push pencils again.
That's great. Like, so those 2 years you worked as an accountant, which one did you learn more of, like the real world accountant that you use in your business? Was it from school or was it from those 2 years actually being an accountant?
I'd say a combination of both. You definitely need the theory. I wasn't as studious as I should have been,
Yeah.
but I knew how to talk. And that really helped me in the interview process. E&Y is like one of the top firms. And there were a lot of kids that I started with that were much smarter than me. I'll fully admit that. But I had a way of connecting with people. And I think the experience I had in the pizzeria really helped me do that. So that when I did get on the job, I was able to take that knowledge that I learned in a book and really apply it and then take it to the next step of my own business. When you're auditing Fortune 500 companies, you see a lot of systems in place, automations. Basic business stuff, but it definitely helped me, grow the business.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of the pizzeria owners don't see that, right? Like they just kind of, I don't know why. It's a lot of pizzerias, especially ones that I've had on the podcast, and I've talked to a lot of them, working in family pizzerias like you. They just work in it and they know it, and like whatever their family did, they just continue to do, and maybe they tweak it a little bit and they use social media, but they don't know how Fortune 500 companies manage their books or set a budget or file taxes or anything like that. So that's a great experience for you.
It is. And, the one thing I did learn is you have to adapt to, the business environment that you're in. And that's something that we did. We took basically what my parents built. We did a Greek style pan pizza. I think you're familiar with that, being up in Boston.
Yeah.
New England style. I think George called that. I started following George at Dedham Pizza when he was on Your Guest. I reached out to him, so we had a lot of similarities. But what I did is, so just to backtrack, we took like 1,000 square feet pizzeria that my parents started. We ended up buying the building and building our dream pizzeria, which at the time we thought was a dream, to have seating, have a huge kitchen, huge menu, and all that. And we had a great run for 20 years. We were just going crazy, but I was getting burnt out. I had to deal with waitresses, busboys, so many moving parts with delivery on top of it. And we always thought to ourselves, my brother-in-law and I, what if we just got rid of the headaches? The dining room was the main one, and just focused on delivery and carry out and make it more of a slice shop. So COVID taught us that that was possible when we did curbside. So what we did is we took a 3,500 square foot full service pizzeria. We bought the building, one of our tenants left, and we're like, you know what? Let's just go there and we'll rent out our old space to someone else. And
Oh, really?
yeah, it was a big, big move. And to make matters even more difficult, we took our pizza, our core product that we made, and threw it out the door. And we started a whole new product because we saw that our market was changing. We had a lot of New Yorkers come from Westchester County. Fairfield County was a really hot spot to get away from the city. And they would come into our market and be like, what is this? This is not what I'm used to. So although our core customers were used to it and they loved it, it was a great product. But we said, while we were building out the place, what could we do to improve the product and appeal to not only our existing customer base, but the client base that didn't like us and is moving to the area. So so now we serve an Italian style, New York style, I should say, pizza that we're really proud of, and we think it's a great product.
That's great. When did you do that? When did the whole transformation happen?
So this will be 2 years, almost to the day.
Okay, so like right after COVID.
Correct.
That's great.
Yeah,
So
it
you
was a
really,
bit-
I mean, are you happy with it? Like, all right, looking back, I mean, I know it's a lot of work and it took a lot of time and effort and probably money and all that, but are you happy now that you're here that you did it?
Yeah, I can honestly say, like, everyone tells me they come into the new place. I mean, of course, it's new, so that's always nice, like getting a new car, everything's good. But just my overall demeanor, I was just, you could tell, I had so many moving parts, so many things going on in my head. And I'm like, I just want to go back to pizza, and just make a really good pie, limit our menu. We got rid of, basically, my brother-in-law and I just made a list. What do we hate about our job? And we just crossed it off. And just said, if we're investing this money, we spent a lot of money. Like, we really did it right. And if we're going to do that, then money can't buy happiness. We didn't want to go into the, and it's been, I mean, look, everyone has their days, right? People don't show up and all that.
Yeah, right.
But at the end of the day, I can, I think I have a better handle on my business. I'm serving my customers. We're personally working in the shop every day. I mean, so we are as hands-on as you could get, I would say.
Now, that's great, first of all. That takes a lot of balls. Not a lot of people would do that, right? Like, have an existing business that's going pretty well and totally downsize and change everything about it and have faith that it's going to work out. Sales-wise, how are the two shops differently? Like, what was the difference? Is it less sales, but it's easier to manage and less people, so it's a lot less headaches and same profit margin? Or, like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So the old shop definitely had a lot more overhead, a lot more labor, and whatnot. So we knew we were going to save that. But we didn't realize, I pat myself on the back, the design of the new shop, we made it so much more efficient. We took all the cogs that we had in our old place, now that we knew how it was working for 20 years. I mean, you could plan everything on paper, but you don't know until you're actually working it. So we took a lot of time setting it up properly. So our new place is a lot more efficient, a lot less people, a lot more profit. I mean, of course, our expenses went up in recent years, so it kind of offset that. But at the end of the day, we said, look, we don't have to push the sales that we were doing at the old place because we're going to make more money. And it just so happened that we didn't end up losing any of the sales. We just moved next door, less than half the square feet, smaller footprint, more profit, less headaches. I mean, it was a win-win all the
That's
way around.
great. What were those things you took off the menu that you hated? Let me see if I hate them too. Because when I was operating, that's what I
Burgers.
wanted to do. Yeah.
Number one was burgers. I just couldn't stand it. Soups, basically anything that I got complaints on. Like we did a good job on everything. We tried our best. We used the best ingredients. But when you consistently get feedback on certain menu items, it's like, what's the point? Do we really need to do? I mean, we got rid of the chicken marsala and all that stuff years ago. So over the course of time, and especially during COVID, we did cut it out. But the best thing about COVID, I mean, two things. The first thing was customers' expectations. Like back in the day, like you'd be like, oh my God, we cannot not have that item. Like we can't be out of that. Like it's just going to give us such a bad look. Now, people are so used to being like, all right, well, you don't have that, let me order this. So I think the customer expectation's a little different. And then more recently, I think the ability to charge what we should be charging for our pizza, that I think is a huge thing. I think people get food inflation and we don't have to like kill ourselves with the guy down the street, you know? So I think that helped us to some extent.
Yeah, definitely the supply chain issues that were happening over the last couple of years made people realize that, and they just heard it a lot from a lot of different places. It wasn't just like the mom and pop down the street that didn't have it. It was like everywhere. It was like really big companies didn't have certain things. And you're like, wow, that's the first time I've ever realized that like a big company would be out of something. And it made people just be like, all right, you're not going to be able to get anything you want anytime you want it.
Exactly. Yeah, it was definitely a blessing. You know, for so many years, it's like the customer's always right, and we are customer focused by all means and all that. But at the same time, you know, we're trying to run a business, and it has to be profitable. It has to make sense for us. So although we bend over backwards to really give the best service we possibly can, I tell people all the time, if I can't make you happy, nobody is.
Yeah.
You know, it's simple as that. We try our best.
Yeah, you want to be nice to the customer. Like I think there's a difference between like doing what you do and like being nice to the customer and being like, all right, listen, we're here to make whatever you order. We're going to make it to the best of our ability. We're going to charge you a reasonable price and we want you to be happy with it. Then there's the flip side of those other pizzerias who try to have every single item that everybody in that party is going to be satisfied with. But then you end up not being able to be good at a lot of that stuff. You just become really average. And then it's just a matter of like, all right, I'm getting all this stuff from all these purveyors and I'm really just heating shit up. I'm not really making anything that I can say is mine that I'm different than anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah, something along those lines is I had a problem one day with my bread guys. So everyone in town does a basic thing. They all get their bread from Arthur Avenue in the Bronx and they deliver it. So the guy across the street gets the same bread that I got, the guy down the two other guys down the street. So one day he pissed me off for some reason, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own bread. And it turned out to be an awesome thing. We have a totally unique product that we use using our pizza dough, and customers love it. So, yeah, you definitely want to differentiate yourself as best you can.
That's good. That's a great idea. We tried that a couple of times. Our pizza dough was like, I don't know, the bread was a little bit dense for the sandwiches. It was a little bit heavy. Do you treat it any differently than your pizza dough, or just use it?
We do. We definitely let it proof more. It took a lot of experimentation. It's more like a focaccia than anything. We gut it because otherwise it would be like way too doughy. And we got really good feedback on it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And it's like your product, so no one else, like you said, no one else can really have the same thing that you're selling because you make it uniquely.
Correct. Yeah.
Now I'm looking at your website too. And all that stuff. I like on your website, you can see the photos. So like, as you're talking about the things you were saying you make, I'm kind of scrolling through your website and I can see all of the photos of the stuff. And I'm assuming that's all your stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. We invested in getting a legit food photographer, not just any photographer, someone with experience, because there really is a difference. And you can see if you go on our website, our printed menu has every specialty pizza pictured. I'm really big on visual. I've done that even from like 10 years ago. We started doing that. It's an investment like anything else, but I think you definitely, you get your return on it for sure. And you can use it, you know, with our online ordering. Everything on our menu is pictured. There's a couple of things I got to update, but I try to keep up on that. And then we we're able to use all those pictures on our menu board. So we have digital displays. For 4 years, I think, before COVID, we didn't print menus. We just did.
Wow.
So yeah, it definitely is worth it.
It definitely makes a difference. You can see if you go on, so your website is famouspizzabethel.com.
Yep.
And people can go on there and just look, and you can definitely see the difference because there's certain things on here that you wouldn't order if you didn't see what it was. And I like, I've been doing these reviews lately of like people's websites and their marketing, and for the most part, people who listen to the podcast and ask for one of those have their stuff on their website that's actually theirs. But you'd be surprised how many pizzerias have pictures of pizza that they sell on their website that's not even theirs. You're like, why would you ever do that? It's like buying a piece of clothing from like Macy's or a store, and it's not the clothing you're gonna buy. Like, why would you do that? You'd be like, that's bullshit. Why would you put that sweatshirt on the website if that's not the one I get? Same thing with your pizza. I can't understand why people do that.
Yeah, 100%. Today's consumer, that's the expectation, right? I mean, it's like that, going on those dating sites and hooking up with someone, and then you meet them, you're like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
There?
It's like
But,
realtor.
yeah.
My wife's a realtor, a real estate agent. We always say that about real estate, other realtors, like business cards. You see like their headshot.
Right.
It's like a headshot from 25 years ago, and you meet them in person. You're like, what the hell? That's not you.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of
100%.
thing. So yeah, I like the photos, and they're good photos too. So
Thank you. And then you can use them on social media too.
yeah,
So
it's a win-win.
worth it. Exactly.
What? So you use? I mean, is this a food tech website itself? I know you've used food tech, and I have too, and I really do like them. Mm-hmm. But did they build this website? Because I remember they used to build websites back in the day, and they weren't great, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I've been with them for like, I don't know, I'm probably one of their first customers, 15 plus years, and they really have evolved. The websites they first put out weren't as, shall we say, visually appealing, but
Yeah.
like now, you provide them with the photography, and then I'm sure there's some sort of template, but I just like how it's clean. The focus is online ordering for us. We're at about 70% of our business is online ordering, and we're not in like Silicon Valley. We're in, suburban Fairfield County, Connecticut. But it's really about training your customers. So, I went in on online ordering early on, like I'd say 12 years ago. We built up our database. We pushed it on all our menus, on the side of our boxes, download our app, order online. Everything is about, I saw the efficiency that creates. I mean, for us, the biggest problem is answering the phone. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the day. I don't have the balls to do it, but what we do now is if you call my number through our phone provider, it says, thanks for calling Famous Pizza, press 6 to get a text and order online. And like, we purposely sometimes, if like someone calls out and can't answer the phone, we just have that message play, and we don't lose any business. We just force the people to utilize technology that makes us more efficient. And someday I really hope I got to figure out how people could get through if there's a problem, like the driver left the food at the wrong place. Like, so we can't get rid of the phone altogether, but
Yeah.
I just don't have the balls to do that yet, because the older clientele is
system-
going to get upset.
Yeah, they'll be dead soon. Right? That's that's the people who are using.
Or they're going to
phones.
move to Florida soon. That's
Yeah,
what we're
exactly.
finding.
They're going to
Like,
get
yeah.
cold. They're going to get too cold living in the Northeast. What's the system that you use for that phone, like messaging that someone could press 6? Is it through food tech?
No, so I think most of the VoIP providers, Pizza Cloud, I personally use Unified Office.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that all of them have that feature. I'm surprised that more people don't use that, because that's a huge game changer right there.
Yeah, I love it. Plus, like you said, your website's really clean. You got photos on there, the big online order button, and 70% of your orders are coming through online, which means you're getting their phone number and their email. Which, if you use food tech, I've seen a ton of POS systems out there, and I do have to say, after doing this podcast for so much time, seeing all the different point of sale systems that are out there, when it comes to like pickup delivery, takeout delivery, and being able to like follow up with your customer, I think food tech's the best. Now, I'm not saying the other ones aren't good, but I think like when it comes to like what you would want to do as a pizza shop, marketing wise, after the customer orders from you, food tech has the best system that I've seen.
So I'm not too familiar with the other ones. I was using this regional POS when I first started called Restaurant Manager, and then once
Yeah.
we added delivery, I knew that went outdated real quick. I just trashed like 40 grand. My dad was ready to kill me at the time.
Your
But it
Greek
was really
father
the
too. He's not too forgiving about that stuff.
yeah, they don't forget. But it was really just to go all in on food tech. I was kind of hesitant at first. I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend money on this, spend money on that. But, in the end, I just looked at the numbers, right? So I'm a numbers guy, and I look at my average order over the phone versus average order online. And it's like a
Yeah.
$10 difference. So it's like, because the customer's there, he's like, all right, I'll grab a 2 liter. All right, I'll grab a dessert. And of course, we're not going to have the same margins, but just that in itself more than pays any of the costs that you might have to go through. And then you're saving on the labor, so you can't forget about that. And then you mentioned the marketing. I mean, last I kind of did a little prep, did some homework before I got on with you because I know you're going to ask me these type of questions. But we're doing about $50,000 a month in sales just through their marketing. And by
Wow.
marketing, meaning we do 30, 60, 90 mailings. I'm sure most of your listeners understand what that means. So the $30 will be more, the 60-day will be more aggressive than the 30-day, and the
Yeah.
90-day, vice versa. We do a birthday club, so $5 off on the day of your birthday because you have to do that when you register. We do a 10-week target market mailing, so it's different offers. So it might be like $2 off this pizza, blah, blah, blah. So we do those. Our whole database does that for those 10 weeks. And I know I'm missing something. Oh, the key to all this is it's only valid for online orders. So we really push the online experience. We do not want to be answering the phones. That's where all the mistakes happen. Here, it's seamless. Our online ordering is integrated to our kitchen bumps. We have KDSs in all our kitchens. We don't push paper. And it just allows us to do more business with less people, thus creating more profit.
Yeah, I love that. And the other thing that food tech does really well is they come up with like a unique codes that each individual email can use. So it's not like some of them like, yeah, you can send an email to your whole database, but you have to create a coupon code, and then it's the same coupon code for every email. So like they could call and be like, I have this coupon code, and you're like, oh crap,
Right.
I gotta give it to them.
Well,
But they create
if
like a
they're in your
unique one.
system,
Yeah,
yeah, but if they're a registered customer, when you go into your POS, you go into the coupon tab, it's right there. So you're not typing
yeah,
in nothing. The loyalty is all integrated. It's really, it saves me time. I don't have time to be doing emails and all that. It's on autopilot. Once you set it up, boom, done. I'll review it at the end of the month. And at the end of the day, I think my average discount comes out to anywhere from 10 to 15%. But we don't do coupons, and I don't have to like put in coupon codes. I think another thing that George did that I haven't done yet, when I do print menus to do door-to-door mailings, they have QR codes for your actual printed piece that
yeah.
link with food tech. So everything's trackable. So I like that. I need to be, if I'm going to spend any money, I want to be able to track my results on it.
Totally. You know what you need to do too? I don't know if you do this, but I know food tech. We used to use food tech. We used to have people who order online, and we were pretty early too for online ordering. If someone would order online today, tomorrow morning they get an email and they would be like, "Hey, this is Bruce from XYZ Pizza. Saw you had an order last night. How was everything?" And
Yeah.
that would kind of go right to my email address if there was a mistake versus having them complain about something, and then we would give them like a bounce back offer, like, "Hey, if you order in the next 2 days, here's a $4 off coupon," because they weren't going to order in the next 2 days usually.
Right. Yeah, so that's the surveys is something I didn't even realize was offered. I wish I got in on it earlier. So the last year, I called them up. I'm like, hey, I heard you got something where every online order will get a survey like a couple hours later. How do we do with 5 stars?
Yeah.
And I actually kind of helped them do the beta for that. I gave them some advice on how to make it look like the Google 5 stars, made it look better and all that. And so what happened is I had 4,000 surveys sitting in my inbox that I just kind of look at. What happens is if it's 3 stars or less, it goes right to my inbox. So like I know in real time, I have my phone
Yeah.
on me all the time. So what happens is they don't go and blow you up on Google. If you take the time real quick, like sometimes I just call them up right away. Hey, I'll send you out another salad. Sorry about that,
Yeah.
my bad. We'll fix it. If I don't see it to the end of the night, I'll just go and I'll take the charge off and let them know, hey, I took care of that. But I have a friend of mine who's a digital marketer. He focuses on the cannabis business, and he's always pushing GMB. I didn't even know what that meant. Google My Business, and the importance of having that. So I was like, the only thing we're missing is how to get all these 5-star reviews and get them over to Google. So my kids were home over break, and I kind of put them to work, and I just had this template email, and I just had them cut and paste 4,000 emails we sent. Hey, thanks for the review you did a while back. I even made them cut and paste their actual typed text just to make it as easy for the customer. Yeah. So I included that on the email, and then I also included, as a way of saying thank you, we'll add a $5 loyalty reward to your account after it gets posted. And we went from a 4.4, because I had a lot of Karens in my area and whatever the case may be. I mean, look, no one's going to get a 5.0, but we're already up to 4.6, and I'm not done yet. So it's part of my daily routine is reaching out to customers and seeing if they can transfer that to Google to help us out.
Listen, a 5-star rating. If I see a 5-star rating, I'm always suspicious anyway, because like either they don't have enough or they're manipulating the system somehow. If they have a ton of just 5-star, because it's very rarely every single person happy.
100%. You're not.
So that's brilliant though. 4,000 kids a year. Are you paying them, or are they just kind of doing it as pro bono for pizza, or they owe you?
They get paid.
I figured.
Yeah, they make out.
Yeah, the kids don't do nothing for free anymore.
Nah, they're not suckers. I think going rate when we were kids was like a penny a box, I remember.
Yeah. If that, it was just like not even a penny a box. It's like you're coming to work. You have no choice. I'm like, dang. Yeah. All right, I guess I have no choice.
Yeah, no, my kids, so we have my niece and my daughter. They work the counter at night. They're getting, Connecticut's $15.69 an hour, so we have them on the books, pay them. We've got a tip jar out front. They'll make like $30 in cash tips and then credit cards because it's online ordering, and now everyone's so used to. I mean, there is like, what do they call that, tipping fatigue now, with Starbucks and all that.
Yeah.
But, people really appreciate the service. We know them before they come in. They don't have to tell us their name. We have their order ready for them. And they're like, yeah, we'll throw a couple bucks in there. So, yeah, they do really well.
If they're if the staff's friendly, I always tip. Not that I don't tip if they're not friendly, but I'll tip more if they're like really friendly. Yeah,
the service industry, I mean, things are getting back to normal, but you could just see every place is understaffed still, so I think people just appreciate, that they're still able to get, eventually it's going to be like chains everywhere, so when they see a mom and pop place busting their ass, they're going to be like, all right, give them a couple bucks,
Plus, especially like a mom and pop place like yours, that's pretty sophisticated. You're probably one of the more sophisticated mom and pop shops that has all of that in place, like the phone answering service, the online ordering, the email marketing. A lot of places don't have the bandwidth to do all that. They just don't have enough time in the day, and it's hard for them to get it all organized and set up, which, I mean, maybe downsizing for you was like kind of the catalyst to be able to do all that, which is important. But like now you probably like what you do way more than you did before, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, everyone says it, just the look on your face. I go into work and, I like, handling, like my job mostly is front of house. So Tony's back of the house. But, with all the call outs and stuff like that, I could just jump into any position needed. I'm kind of like a floater. But I spend most of my day up front. Like just, hey, how you doing? What can I get you? A couple slices, cashing people out, answering the phones. Really hands-on, probably to my detriment. I'm really a control freak. That's something I definitely got to work on. I don't want to make it sound like, look at this guy, he knows all the. I don't. I'm just doing the best I can. But we believe in ourselves. We work hard. We don't take ourselves seriously, but we take what we do seriously. And we just love serving pizza. I mean, simple as that. No one's a bigger fan.
There's nothing wrong with working in your business if you like it. It's like what you said before, your old business. If it's like, oh, I got to go to work and I don't like it, that's when it's a problem. But if you like making pizza or you like talking to customers and you're in your place every day, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I think that's the point of life and the point of work. Your work should be something that you enjoy going into.
Yeah, and I know you always bring up like the Pizza Expo and stuff like that. So along those lines,
we're gonna cut that out right there.
Well, no, but my point is, I'm going to put a little. No, you'll see where I'm going with this. Okay. So you sit in these seminars, right? And everyone's like, it's always the same thing. You shouldn't be working in your business. You're working
Yeah.
on your business. So, and I've gone years and, I'm just so sick of hearing of it because the reason that makes me different from the other guy is he's paying that kid minimum wage to not give a shit. And they're coming into my place. I'm going to explain to them what we do, how we do it.
Yeah.
If they have any questions, they're going to get taken care of to the highest degree. So, it's kind of contradiction, it's like, don't work in your business, but, what if I only want one store? I don't need to go open. I've seen so many guys go and open that second store and then they realize that they can't clone themselves. And then in the end, they just they lose the second one, they go back to the first one, they got to spend years building it back up. So we always had the approach of just being humble, being happy with what we do, what we have, working hard by all means. We want to push sales. Like I think we do really well for our footprint and, not, being greedy, and just, I just hit 50 this year. So that was a big wake up call for me. So I gave up 27 of my best years just now. And my goal this year, usually I went in for 25 years thinking, how can I squeeze another dollar out of this place? Like literally, whether it's takeout containers, souffle cups, and I was just going out of my mind. And then we took a step back. We actually closed for 3 weeks this year. We went to Greece. I haven't been to Greece in 30 years. I took my family, my kids are in college, and I'm like, this is my last chance. And we're sitting on the beach and we're talking, me and Tony, and we're just like, look, what are we doing? Like, where do we want to be? And, you really got to just, happiness is, going into work and just, putting in, I put in 12 hours every day, 14 hours, that doesn't include the hours at home, paying bills and all the other stuff. I do all my accounting, I do all the marketing, and then I stand and work those hours. But it doesn't seem like work to me. Like as much as we bitch and complain that, this sucks, this and that, we actually love it. I mean, Friday night you're pulling your hair out, but you kind of get off on that too,
Yeah.
So
so you have a successful business. To me, you have the most successful business because success to me isn't like when I was younger in my 20s, success was like who has the most locations, who makes the most money. As I'm in my 40s now, success to me is like who actually likes waking up in the morning and going to work. Like it makes a decent living, right? Like you can't be a bum,
right,
and live off the system and be like, yeah, I'm a success. I don't have a job, but I don't make any money either. Everybody else takes care of me. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like you have a business, it's relatively successful. You make a living, your family makes a living, but you actually like going to work. You're a success. You're somebody that people should look up to and admire and ask questions about. Because a lot of people wake up every morning and they go to a job that they hate, doing something they don't want to do, to make money for stuff that they don't really need. And it's just like a vicious cycle that even the younger generation of folks seem to be like, all right, I got to go to high school, then I got to go to college, then I got to get a job to pay for the college. And I'm stuck in that area of paying for something I probably didn't really want to do, but I did it. And now I can't get out of it because I have to pay it off and I have to do that for the next 20 years. So, I'm glad that you were able to do that. Kudos to you because not a lot of people do that.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, we have nephews. Tony has 2 sons in college, and one of them, I think both of them have an interest someday to come into the business, and that's something that we always think, like, what are we going to do down the road? But they see that, we kind of set the example for them. We did all the hard work, so it's like, you guys just got to show up. You got it made. Like, we built it. But, there's always, that notion, what if we open we're not there yet. And I don't know if we'll ever be. And that's fine.
Do you how is it working with family? I worked with family and it was great, but then there was also struggles.
Yeah. So, my family literally lives right next door to the shop. It's like the movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, they built the house right next door. So you know how Greeks are. So my brother, sister, and I, we all live within a mile of the shop. It's like the hub.
Oh, wow.
When the kids were little, we would drop them off. It was like a daycare center, kids running around, coming in. And that's how we grew up. We grew up in the shop. That's what I was used to. But working with families, so luckily my brother-in-law and I, we've worked together side by side 25 years. We've never had a fight.
That's good.
Literally, the guy is just a saint of a man. He's married to my sister. So, we really get along. My brother actually is a teacher, But there was a time where he came into the business, and I think customers would come in just to watch us fight. Like literally, punch each other in the middle of Friday night, screaming,
Oh my
yelling.
God, that's hilarious.
We were just oil and water, and that didn't work out well. And ever since he stopped working at the shop, we get along great. I mean, he's great. I love him to death. I just cannot work with him. Just have different personalities. But
That's
working
good
with
that you
families
found your brother-in-law
always.
that you can like mesh with. It seems like the thing that works with you two is it seems like you like to do different things. Like you said, he likes to be in the back, behind the scenes, kind of, and you like to be, or don't mind being kind of in front, talking to the customers. And I think that's probably why it works.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely blessed that we have different, characteristics that allow us to complement each other. And yeah, we have this saying, like, unfortunately, we can't say it to our wives, but we say it to ourselves all the time: know your role. So
Yeah.
like he's got his that whole Stone Cold Steve Austin, whatever it is, wrestling guy, but he always used to say it, and it's just like, we don't step on each other's toes. That's his area, it's my area, and yeah, we'll discuss it. But at the end of the day, it's just like that's all you, bud. But
Yeah.
we always help each other out. That goes without saying.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you got amazing business and you're happy doing it, and I'm happy for you. So, Famous Pizza Bethel, BETHEL.com is the website. Go check it out. It's a pretty sleek website. I don't necessarily usually go to websites and be like, oh wow, I like that website, but I like yours. It's like you said, clean,
Thanks.
to the point. It gets the information that you need across to the people who need it, and there's a big online order button there, which is what you probably want everybody to do anyway. So go check that out. What about on Instagram or Facebook? What are you on those platforms?
So if you search Famous Pizza Bethel, I think our actual username might be Famous Pizza BTL, if
Okay.
it's not BETHEL. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, but to be honest with you, I can't wrap my head around that yet. I don't think I ever will, quite honestly.
How old are your kids or your brother-in-law's kids?
So we have 6 kids, 3 each. So I have one graduating college soon. So we have 4 in college and 2 in high school. So the 2 that are in high school are juniors. They work at the shop. His 2 sons go to school locally, so they work at the shop. My kids all worked in the shop, but they're up at Syracuse now, so they got a little break from the pizza business. But I think they're on to their careers and all that. They want to
Oh
be part
yeah.
of it.
So you got to get those 2 kids out in high school to take over the TikTok. Like you don't need them to do the Instagram and Facebook, but like, listen, you're on TikTok. Come up with some ideas and some strategies, and I'll help you implement them. But like, that's your thing.
It's a good idea. Yeah, I gotta
Make
get
them
on
do that. Be like, you don't have to do all of it. Just TikTok. Like, and you don't even have to
Okay.
like, because you know what the teenagers know. They don't necessarily know how to like create a good business TikTok, but they know what's working and what's popular on TikTok that they can kind of point you in that direction. So they may not
Right,
be
as
able to
long-
be like, all right, I know how to create a TikTok for this business that's going to get customers, but they know if you're going to look like a dork on TikTok and it's going to make you look bad. You know what I mean?
Well, they pretty much cringe at everything I post, regardless whether it's
Yeah.
Instagram, doing reels or whatever. As long as I don't have to do a dance, then I think we'll be good.
Yeah, those days are over for TikTok. You don't have to do that anymore.
All right, cool. I'll give it a
So,
shot.
all right, let us know if you have any questions. We'll help you out on that. All right, we'll link all that up in the show notes. Perry, your website, which I think people should go take a look at. Instagram, Facebook. I appreciate you. Don't go anywhere yet, but I appreciate you joining me on the podcast. It was really fun talking to you. I'm glad we got a chance to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.